How's everybody doing? It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I figured we would take care of a little project that nobody wants to deal with, but it's just one of those things you got to deal with every once in a while that every collector has to deal with. And that is the dreaded box closet. The closet that is full of nothing but boxes. Everybody's got one. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And yeah, so the way our house is set up, you can see we have the first floor down here, and the second floor has this this balcony overlooking the first floor. There's a tiny little alcove over here that doesn't really do anything. And when we first checked out the place before we bought it, Michelle said, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that little alcove. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not putting anything in that closet. Just do what you want with it. I said, cool. I'm going to shove it full of boxes of all of the Zoids and Transformers and all the other random garbage I like to collect that you guys know and love. So unfortunately, it is completely full. And this right here is, of course, my backlog of kits. I've talked about this already before. You know, these three stacks are all the backlog. But these are all boxes that I need to put in here that I do not have room for. We got the Zero Greases box. We recently did the review, the Energy Liger box. We got some Transformers boxes like Legacy, Galvatron, and the Studio Series Starscream there. So I figured what we would do is just do a little video, unedited, unscripted, just me kind of talking, rambling on, and sorting through this closet. Probably what's going to happen is a couple of these are going to get thrown away, and a lot of them are, what do you want? A lot of them are going to get broken down and condensed because this thing is just completely full, top to bottom with boxes. So a lot of these boxes I can probably flatten. What do you want? There's nothing in there for you. A lot of these boxes I can probably break them down and flatten them, like some of the Hasbro Zoids boxes and stuff like that. But there's some that are trays or they have plastic windows I might not be able to break down. So we're gonna check out what's in here and see what we can do with this, and just kind of ramble on while we do it. I'm probably gonna look completely gross, and this is not exactly going to be well lit, which I'm sure contributes to me looking hideous and gross. But I guess I could ask, you know, what do you guys do with your boxes? I know a lot of collectors hold on to them. I know a lot of them throw them away, store them in some capacity. You know, if you ever wanted to resell a kit, I guess, you would want the box to be intact, you know, put it back in the box. And, you know, packaging has changed a lot for a lot of these, you know, toy brands and model kit brands over the last several years. I wonder if I can break down these Zoids Wild boxes here. I'm pretty sure I can if I open both sides. They have this cardboard insert thing. You guys remember this? I talked about it in the original Wild Liger review, and anybody that's built one of these knows about this. I probably should put all my instruction manuals in something, just throw this part away and collapse this so I can at least keep this part. So I'm going to throw this over the edge, and anything I plan to throw away is going to get thrown over the edge there. But instruction manuals, there's a lot of boxes from a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily plan to keep. As far as the Transformers boxes goes, I at least wanted to have one from every different toy line that I collect, which is not many compared to most collectors. You know, most collectors go completely over the top and collect, you know, dozens of new figures a year. And some of them even collect every single one from every single line every year, and then kind of decide later which ones stay in their collection and which ones they want to sell off or get rid of in some other way. And I don't really know how some of those people do it, as far as having like the ultra huge mega collections like that, where they have just storage totes upon storage totes of just, you know, piles and piles of redundant figures in totes and storage. So we're gonna, I think if we get them all collapsed like that, we'll still be able to keep it in relatively good condition. And the ends of that were just sealed with tape. Was literally all that was. So that should be, you know, if we ever wanted to rebuild that and tape it at the ends again, we'd have no trouble doing that. This is a cool piece of my collection. This is a G1 commemorative series Red Alert, which was released around 2002, 2003, I want to say. It still has a plastic shell in there that he came in and some missiles that are still on the frame. I've never taken those off. I did get this guy secondhand. I wasn't collecting Transformers when that was new. I'm not able to break that down, unfortunately. Let's see what we have here. Lego Star Wars. I very, very, very occasionally pick up Lego Star Wars stuff, you know, or Legos in general. I'm fond of the Clone Wars era and some of the vehicles and characters from that. I think they do look really cool. So a couple years ago, I got a couple of kits from there. I'm going to take the instruction manuals out. I'm just going to have like a bag or a tote that's just got all the manuals for all of these kits just in a nice, neat stack. This will be able to break down. Because I think these boxes are actually quite nice. And I hadn't really collected anything for Lego or Star Wars in a long time. So this is going to be a good video for you guys to have on in the background if you just want some background noise, you know, similar to podcasts or whatever you guys like to listen to. Not exactly going to be a super compelling video, but there are a couple of talking points I wanted to, I guess, bring up and see what your guys' attitudes are about them. And it's something I've noticed recently. So this was for a this is for an Attack on Titan watch, which I'm pretty sure is a piece of kind of, you know, claw machine, very cheap anime merchandise in Japan. So I'm definitely throwing this out. I will keep the watch. I know where the watch is, but that box is getting thrown away. There's no reason to keep that. Warpath from Combiner Wars. Legends class, I think is what this was called. He has a card in here still, and his instructions, so we'll take those out. And then I may get rid of this box. So something that I noticed, guys, is that you know, a lot of the, no matter what you collect, there's always going to be people that are, you know, what I would consider whale buyers that just buy any and all of the stock of something that's available. Like, they just buy as much of it as they can. And I never quite understood that. Like, it's definitely something that's like a, it's a socioeconomic privilege of the first world to be able to collect a lot of things, because you have the access to it. You know, a lot of these things are available either via international shipping to your country, or they are available online. They're available in stores locally to you. You have ready means of transportation to get you to conventions and meetups and stores and, you know, all manner of things. But that is very much a privilege of the first world. And so there is kind of this socioeconomic privilege in the first world of being able to hoard loads of material possessions. And that's just kind of the realm that you operate in when you decide to become a collector. And basically what I am criticizing here is the hyper-capitalist approach to collecting, which is somebody that is fortunate enough to have a lot of money and a lot of space to dedicate to a large collection, and they just buy so much of it disproportionate to what other people are able to afford that it is just kind of gross and ridiculous. And, you know, this may sound a little hypocritical coming from me, where I just exist downstream from somebody that, you know, benefits disproportionately from, you know, socioeconomic privilege. Aaron Yeager Funko Pop, I think I'm definitely throwing that out. unless somebody wants that. Let me know in the comments. But I guess what I mean is more so, you know, if I have one copy of a particular, you know, Zoid or Transformer or something I'm looking for, I'm content because I have the one of it. I'm not a superly overly materialistic person where I need to have, you know, millions of these things. And I know there are some people in these collecting communities that, and there's one in the Zoids community that comes to mind who I'm not going to name because he's a very nice guy, and I don't want to sound like I'm dunking on him, but the guy whale buys, and he buys dozens of the exact same kit. Sometimes they're older Hasbro kits or older Takara Tomy kits that that nobody else is buying. And maybe there's an argument to be made there that this is like somebody else's junk kind of thing, that you're basically rescuing it from a fate of nobody ever paying attention to it. But it's just the sheer amount of them, and I would think that you're creating a situation where every time there's a lot of Zoids on the market or somebody's old collection they're selling off, if you're buying all of them every time, you are creating the inability for somebody else who wants a modest collection or wants a small collection out of nostalgia. You're preventing that person from even being able to participate in collecting. When it comes to Transformers, one thing I realized very quickly is that a lot of online stores, it seems like the very moment that a kit becomes out of print, it like doubles or triples in price for a sealed copy of it. I didn't learn until years later that people will sell loose or opened Transformers out of their box for, ooh, that sounded like a tear. That did not sound good. They'll sell loose or you know, out of box Transformers for pennies on the dollar compared to that sealed price. And so a lot of the ones I got as an adult were from like the Super Happy Fun sale at Anime Weekend Atlanta, which is coming up soon. And we got Sideswipe and Wheeljack here. I guess I'll keep those because they have the plastic bubble inside, so I can't break them down. Siege, Cybertron Prime, that's a really cool kit. You know, a lot of the kits that I got as an adult, I got secondhand from people, collections they're getting rid of, and that's one of the really cool things about the Super Happy Fun sale at Anime Weekend Atlanta, is that to them it's the equivalent of a yard sale. It's their junk. They're trying to get rid of this stuff, and so you're doing them a favor by buying it off of them. You know, they want to get rid of it. They want to make maybe some money for the rest of the convention, and that's makes such a loud thud every time it hits the ground. That's a great opportunity to find, you know, cool old stuff that nobody else has or nobody else is selling, and I just think that's awesome. But like I said, if you're the kind of person that buys every time a lot goes up on eBay or on a collector's group or at a yard sale or a flea market, and you just buy all of it and you hoard it, I don't really understand why you would do that. And some people do it because they want to. They want to have big, massive collections. Some people do it because they can. Some people do it because of the speculative value associated with that collectible. They know that it's collectible, and so they want it to be an investment. They want it to turn around and make them money further down the road. And that's one of those things that I just can't personally relate to at all. And there's definitely some collectibles, tangible collectibles, that will get you a better return on investment, but that's just not something that I ever think about. It's not something that is important to me, and I guess that's kind of where I stand as a collector. Is I'm not an overly, I've said before in videos, I'm not an overly materialistic person. If I had the money to have a collection that big, I still probably wouldn't do it, only because I still have a certain degree of pragmatism where I'm like, there's no there's no need for that. There's no need to have 20 copies of the same kit all just kind of collecting dust. And a lot of the kits that I've gotten, sometimes I'll get a Zoid or something just for content, just to be able to make a video on it. And some of the wind-up ones that I've just reviewed, I'm going to be reviewing soon, I got off of Brad's collection, and I may be reselling some of those off to some people that want them, or I may be putting them in storage as well. They're not going to be displayed openly as part of the collection. Oh, it's the pilot, the little plastic pilot still in there. I'm gonna have to get a little baggie as well for all these Zoids Wild caps and pilots, because the Zoids Wild kits and Zoids Wild Zero kits always seem to have come with two extra caps, and then in the Zoids Wild Zero line, we all just kind of stopped putting the pilots on there because we thought they looked ugly. But like I said, I want a bag or a tote that's full of all these booklets. But yeah, there's people that will obviously, people know about like the scalpers and the hoarders that will buy up literally all of the stock that exists of a particular collectible so that it decreases the supply, it increases the demand, and when the demand goes up, they have the supply, so they can charge whatever they feel like for it. And I find that kind of unethical, and it's just one of those artifacts of capitalism that we just kind of have to deal with. And I can't say that I really like that. With card games, it's really bad. I mean, those of you that know, I collect and play Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's a whole nother channel if you guys want to check that out. That's a big problem over there too, where you'll have these whale buyers that will buy up literally as much of the sealed product as they can, like all of it, and they'll open all of it for content, or they will resell it, and you'll go into stores and they'll be sold out, and the average person can't find or afford that product. And sometimes it becomes an issue where now the price of sealed product for Yu-Gi-Oh has gone up. The MSRP has gone up for sealed product. Granted, it hasn't gone up very much in the total context of over time. Like since the game has come out up until now, it's barely gone up at all. It's gone up maybe twice in its entire history, but it's still, as of very recently, more expensive now than it was before. And a lot of that was caused by the pandemic. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that, where another cardboard insert. I'm definitely taking all these cardboard inserts to a recycling center near me, just so you guys know. Those are not going in the trash. Those will be recycled. We have a recycling center that Michelle and I just drive to and drop a lot of this stuff off. But talking about whale buyers in the card game community, right? So, I really lost my train of thought there, but like I said, it's one of those artifacts of capitalism where everything that can have a speculative value will be bet on and turned into a money-making side hustle. And that was an artifact of the pandemic, because people had this panic reaction because the stock market collapsed. It was unstable. They didn't trust that that stocks were going to be a dependable investment, so they started investing in tangible investments that had a slow but guaranteed return on investment. I've talked about this in other videos. And you combine that with the I think it was Logan Paul that opened a like $200,000 box of base set Pokemon for content, because you could quantify him as a whale buyer because he
he has a lot of capital, and so he has the ability to do that for content. And that's to, as an aside, that's one of those things that only people with a lot of capital can do, is whale buy, and they can only do that's one of the things that only people with a lot of capital can do, is do that for content, I should say. There are people in the Yu-Gi-Oh content creator sphere, for instance, that, oh dear, there's a lot of pieces in here. Instruction manual, some runners that still have pieces on them. Okay, that's it. There are people that have a sort of a monopoly on certain types of content because they have the capital to buy really old or really expensive sealed product and open it, because the money they make off the video is worth more to them than the cost it took them to buy the product. But just the barrier to entry with making content like that is extremely high, because these things are basically gate kept from the average person. And that's why those videos, I guess, are popular, is because the average person can't go and buy sealed first edition booster packs of super... I was about to throw this over the edge. I definitely want my Koenig Wolf box there. Does that make any sense? Does anything what I'm saying make sense? Oh, wow. This... In hindsight, this one is actually really special to me. The Revoltech Blade Liger Mirage, which I'm pretty sure I've done a video on. The back of the box doesn't show the Mirage, but it is inside here was the Mirage, the white and red one. This is very special to me because the person that sold this to me has since passed away, and he was a good friend of mine, so I'll remember him fondly when I look at this kit. He made a couple of props for me and stuff like that. So, yeah, that definitely keeping that one. That was pretty sentimental. This is an interesting one. This is a statue of the Mandalorian. It's a static scale figure. It's a 1/10 scale. It was made by Kotobukiya. You know, same people to make the HMMs, which is pretty cool. But I think I can collapse this. I don't think there's anything in here. There's this plastic bubble on the inside, which I can throw that away and collapse the rest, I believe. But there's no real solution. Well, before I talk about the end game of all this, I want to talk about how it affects the video game market. So I mentioned the Logan Paul Pokemon thing. And that caused a cascade where basically everything Pokemon was seen as having a potential speculative value, and therefore was seen as something that people could bet on and invest money into, and it would become an investment in the future. So this manifested kind of simultaneously in a couple of different industries. There was the obviously the TCG rush, where people were trying to buy, I think there's actually a Killer Dome in here, so I probably should either take him out before I collapse this, or just take this whole box out of storage. The person at the Super Happy Fun sale actually put like value pack item here, not for resale on the thing, so they can not for individual sale, so they could keep this guy packaged with the Dark Spiner, because if they bought the Dark Spiner and not this guy, okay, I'll deal with that one later. He's in bits. I have another Killer Dome I had as a kid, but I never had the Dark Spiner as a kid. So when I bought the Dark Spiner, I bought those two together because the guy's most likely not going to sell the Dark Spiner without it. Or I'm sorry, he's not going to sell the Killer Dome without the Dark Spiner. Got some small Hasbro kits here, and the Iron Kong box is right beneath that. So we'll collapse all these. May even be able to fit them inside the Iron Kong box, although I don't think I'll do that. I'll probably forget I have them at that point and lose them forever. So in the TCG realm, after the you have the pandemic plus the Logan Paul thing plus, you know, a sociocultural thing of Western capitalist cultures of, hey, if this is something people enjoy, we can make money off of this kind of thing. and people started buying out Pokemon TCG sealed product as a speculative market, and it created this mass shortage of Pokemon TCG products in stores, and there was those infamous stories of people fighting over them and all of that. And I just luckily I've never been a fan of the Pokemon TCG outside of the very first, Gen 1 era of the card game. I never collected after that. So none of this really affected me too personally. It was one of those where I was like, that's really unfortunate. I feel really bad for the Pokemon fans, but it doesn't affect me too much other than it was just kind of disgusting to watch, and I didn't want it to cascade to other card games. And so you had people getting into fights in stores and all of that, and you had stores that stopped carrying Pokemon TCG products, and you had people going in for the Happy Meal. It was the McDonald's Pokemon card deal. Was that it? Where they were packaged with Happy Meals, and adults would go to somebody. The previous owner had to duct tape this box back together, which I don't blame them. This box is rather large, and so I think the weight of the Iron Kong itself would kind of... Oh, there it goes. It came open. That's unfortunate, but we're still going to keep this box. I'm just going to collapse it like that. I think I might be able to start putting some of these back in here now that they're collapsed. I think I might make a little bit more room before I do. So adults would go into McDonald's or whatever it was and just buy all of these, like every single one of these Pokemon packs that they had, or as many as they would be allowed to get, more or less. And I can't imagine kids going in there and being like, I really want one of these, and being told, I'm sorry, we're sold out. And they watch the adult in front of them, the 30-year-old, walk out with 20 of them in his hand, and it's just ridiculous. And I think back to when me and my friends were kids, back when Pokemon was brand new when it first came out, and if that had happened to us, because there were like Pokemon, Happy Meal toys and stuff from Burger King and stuff like that, and if we had gone into one of those places and been told, hey, they're sold out, and we just watched a guy, an adult, walk out with a massive stack of them in his hand, we probably would feel pretty alienated as kids. So I kind of took a stand on that. I mean, maybe it was not one that people necessarily agreed with. Maybe it was one people thought was kind of controversial. But I basically said that I thought that was pretty immoral. And I even told some of my friends, I'm like, dude, you got to stop going to damn McDonald's and buying these Pokemon card packs. And I just think it's kind of ugly that you're doing that. And some of them listened, some of them didn't. But the other thing was the video game secondary market, and this was kind of a separate but related phenomenon where this was a really interesting kit. This little quick kit, Marasama Liger, I think I did a quick video on that, no pun intended, but it's hard to recommend these, but they are kind of a novelty. I think I can break this box down. So once again, people took to video games as a secondary market they could speculate on, because classic video games, particularly NES era, in-box NES games have always had a very high collector's value. They've been collected for years, but this, people set their eyes on some different consoles, and naturally the Nintendo consoles, because I automatically associated Nintendo with collectability, so it started trickling up all the way up to GameCube, and GameCube started becoming collectible, even if people didn't really know anything about the games on the GameCube. They just thought, okay, GameCube equals collectible. Let me start buying those out and putting them on the secondary market for more expensive, even though the same game could be purchased on the PS2 or the Xbox, the original Xbox, for less. And so where these two things started to intersect, we do have some loose dark spiner pieces in here. I think I know what they go to. There's a cap and some little fin things. That's interesting. Definitely glad I'm going through these. Underneath this sticker from the Super Happy Fun Sale is a sticker from KB Toys for its original $29.99 back in 2002 or 2003 for the Dark Spiner, and that is pretty cool. So these two things intersected with Pokemon. The Pokemon video games started getting bought out and scalped and resold in the secondary market for way, 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 way more. And it was just ridiculous to watch because I can understand games that are legitimately rare. This one also this is from the same previous owner. Same thing, KB Toys sticker under the Super Happy Fun Sale sticker. This box for the D-Bison as well is actually in pretty good condition, I do have to say. We're going to collapse it and hopefully keep it in good condition. The only thing we're ruining is the original tape is still on here, and it is going, as we're removing it, we are tearing that part of the box a little bit, but I don't particularly care about that. Probably some collectors are watching this and just screaming at their screens. Also, another aside, one of the things that I didn't mention, I've mentioned it in some reviews, but not all of them, is that these pictures on the instruction manuals for a lot of the Hasbro Zoids are from the original OJR line kits. They are promotional images from that era, so you'll see a lot of the photography, the way it's shot, you can just kind of tell. You can see all the backgrounds and all that stuff in there. That wasn't the way they did promotional artwork for these. This is a very different style of photography, and there was no nice backgrounds. It was just kind of the D-Bison just photoshopped into some green, and that was it. Oh wow, there's like a whole, I think this is the battery cover, which is not attached. That's a good piece to keep, and some caps as well, so glad we did that. So Pokemon games were getting scalped, and at one point Heart Gold and Soul Silver hit over $200, and that just blew my mind because those are games that everyone had. Everybody owns those games. They're not rare. They sold like crazy because they're Pokemon. And so you have games that are legitimately rare. Oh, there's Siege Starscream. Haven't actually played with that one too much. There's a lot of games that are legitimately rare. Like, I think one of the most valuable games that I had before all this happened was Blood Will Tell for the PS2. And that game, my favorite Hasbro kit, as it is for most people. This one has a Walmart sticker for $24.88, which is just absolutely amazing. I just love that. Fortunately, we are going to break this box down too, but we're not doing any long-lasting harm to it. We can always rebuild it and retape it if we ever wanted to. I'm not folding the box at any point in which it's causing irreparable damage, so we are fine as far as that goes. I do have the instruction manual there. So my point I just made is actually really illustrative here because, again, this is the Hasbro Blade Liger, but the image they use is from the Takara Tomy one that has the Van, Fiona, and Zeke there, which are not included in this kit at all. This is the exact same image on the blue Blade Liger, whose box is right next to this that I'm about to show. I find that really funny. So Blood Will Tell was like $220 when I bought it, which is more than I would probably ever spend for a game ever again. But I was in a good situation financially when I did that, and I knew it was only going to get more expensive, and that was before the pandemic. The game is probably easily over $400 now. I remember Valkyrie Profile on the PS1, I bought that for like $90 from Steel Collectibles, and the next time I saw a copy of it in the wild, it was $400. And so those make sense because those are rare. Pokemon is not rare. Everyone owns it. So the value they had created was artificial and speculative, and it just didn't make any sense. And I really hope that it crashes. I hope it crashes very, very hard. This is probably my most cherished Zoids box here, because I actually bought this in like 2004, the Takara Tomy version, and I've had this since I was a kid, and it's just awesome that that I've had the original version with the box for so long. And it has its runners in there as well, so I'll probably have to decide if those are getting thrown out or not. So like the Killer Dome, I'm probably going to set that aside and mess with that later. Got more Hasbro Zoids. We've got Shield Liger. Once again, this one has a Walmart sticker for $19.92. That's the price, not the year, obviously, but very cool to see that. Very, very cool to see that. This has some paper that was used to package it when the previous owner shipped it to me. They shipped it to me in the box. I appreciate them for that. There is the manual in a baggie. Okay, we're good. I've already searched these before when I first got the thing, and make sure there was nothing else in there. We do have everything with this kit. It's 100% complete. I hope the Pokemon thing crashes. I know that as far as and I could be speaking a little hyperbolically here. I'm not 100% sure if this is correct, but from what I know, that basically has happened as far as the TCG side goes. TCG product is now much easier to find in stores. It's much more accessible, and it's like the reverse effect where they're so plentiful now they basically can't get rid of it. And I think that is preferable to having to pay outrageous amounts of money just so your kids can open cards. You know, it's ridiculous. Just so kids can enjoy the thing that they enjoy, and the adults with money are not ruining it for them. But as far as the video games go, I can't wait to see. I would love to see Heart Gold and Soul Silver crash like all the way down to like $30, $40. I would love that. I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but I would love to see it. And I would love for all those scalpers and people that invested their money into it to lose money on it. That's just my attitude on it. I know some people will probably disagree. They're going to say, "Well, I mean, that's your right of living in a capitalist society. Blah 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 is the ability to spend your money on what you want, make your own living. If you're a go-getter, entrepreneur, hustler, and you wanna make your own money, and that's just how things are. You either play the game or you get out of the way, or and they say all these things, and that's fine. But and maybe I would have shared the same sentiment years ago, but the pandemic really changed my perspective on a lot of that. And it's one thing when you can see yourself pretty financially well off, and then things dramatically change in your life without completely outside of your control, or whatever semblance of stability you had in your life gets completely changed by a pandemic. It's really sobering, honestly, to feel the difference in attitude. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these Modeler Spirit Series boxes, because they do have, a model kit box where it has like a clamshell that opens almost. And I'm pretty sure the little pieces of terrain that are in here, they're still in these boxes. I don't have them stored anywhere else. So before I do anything with those boxes, I'm going to have to do something with those. But I may just leave those not collapse and just focus on collapsing these. Oh boy, keeping all this flat is definitely going to be interesting. Put some boxes that are not collapsed on top of it just to keep them all flat. Good news is we've undoubtedly made a ton of room already. Just by collapsing these. The other thing that's kind of sobering and kind of changes your mind as a collector is, you know, I'm married. I mention that like every video practically. I mention Michelle, and she's appeared in several videos. On the other channel, she's made videos for the main channel, so on and so on. And when you commit your life to someone else, and you've made this commitment where you know you've director, what's my line? You know, you basically agree to sacrifice for your partner and for the person that you love, and so certain things are going to take a back seat to that. And you know, with selecting the house that we did, and with deciding to move in together, those are all big commitments as part of getting married. And so things like, you know, collecting old toys definitely take a back seat to that. And so I could go on AmiAmi or HLJ or eBay or something like that and see something that I would probably want every day of the week. I could collect new Zoids and new Transformers and Figma series figures I really enjoy, you know, Figma series anime figures and stuff like that. I could collect those for years, but it was kind of sobering to move into this house, get everything set up, get all the collection the way I wanted it, you know, set up the backlog, set up a model kit building workstation, build all those glass display cases. And my wife likes all that stuff. Like, she doesn't say, oh, these are stupid, get rid of these. She likes all of it. It's just, I guess I can break down the Zero Greases box. But it's that understanding of, I owe it to her to have a limit. I have an upper limit on how much I can collect. I am not going to be one of those whale, even if I had the money, I was not going to be one of those whale buyers that's going to just buy everything and have stuff in piles. And I watch certain collectors videos, and like I said, they have figures like in piles, like not even on their in storage totes, but like on their shelves and on their desks and under their desks, and they have more figures than they have space for them, and it looks cluttered and messy, and they can't be happy with it because they can't adequately enjoy their collections, and they know that. And a lot of times they'll make videos like what I'm doing here, where it's like, I'm gonna make a whole video where I'm just gonna organize the collection. Try to remember watched somebody do that recently. I think it's Prime versus Prime. Is I think is a UK-based Transformers content creator, and he basically said there was a whole video where he went through his collection and started organizing his shelves and putting kits into storage totes and stuff like that. But I think the Zero Greases box is really big, so it's going to go towards the bottom by like the Iron Comic box. Ooh. we're not. It's just going to go on top then. We may have a bit of an avalanche situation here until I can get enough weight on these boxes to where they'll stay. There we go. I feel like I'm working in retail again, and I'm packing collapsed boxes into the cardboard compactor. Anybody that's worked in retail or in a warehouse knows what I'm talking about, where they have the giant cardboard baler compactor thing. That's what this feels like right now. Now, the flip side of that is that me and my wife do not want to have kids at all, and that's just our own personal decision. I know that that's a decision that is becoming a little more popular. Gatling Fox, that's the same. I couldn't remember the name of this thing when I was doing the review of the Zero Greases the other day. That's a mindset that's becoming a lot more popular with my generation. Is the world is kind of messed up right now. We kind of live in a bit of a dystopia, and we don't want to bring children into that. And some of us don't have our acts together financially or mentally to raise children adequately, and that's a very conscious decision that we've made, where we've had the maturity to say, I know myself well enough to know that I have certain standards and expectations for what kind of environment I would like to raise a child into, and I know that I'm not able to fulfill my own expectations as far as what I think raising a child should be like. And again, I know people have their own opinions and conflicting opinions and all that, and I don't really care to get into all that. But that's just what we decided. We decided we're not going to have kids. That's been the previous time before that other box I showed you guys that I bought, Lego Star Wars. 2019, 20 years of Lego Star Wars. Pretty cool. And part of it is self-serving as well. It's one of those things where if I were to have kids, I would absolutely have to give up collecting a lot of these things, because for one, it costs a lot of money, and a lot of people have these aspirations of, oh well, maybe your kids will, you can hand down your collection to your kids and they'll love it as much as you do, and wouldn't that be so wonderful to share that with them? And it's like, yeah, I think everybody's had that fairy tale thought in their head of what would it be like to, introduce your kids to some of this stuff for the first time. We're getting some old Transformers boxes in here. We got Deluxe Cybertron Prime, which is actually just Armada Prime repackaged and repainted. This one sat in my basement for the longest time at the old house, but this was Deep Space Starscream. It's a Target exclusive from the AllSpark line. This box is incredibly dusty, but I definitely want to keep it because it's a unique box shape for a exclusive toy, and it might be worth something one day. Who knows? I'm trying to get to these Bionicle boxes back here because I want to break them down. Yeah, here we go. This actually might be a little bit difficult to break down now that I'm looking at them. That is unfortunate. So those of you that don't know, I do have a rather modest Bionicle collection, which I'm sure a lot of people will be thrilled about, because those are people from my generation love Bionicle and think back on it very fondly. Got quite a few of these boxes that I've saved, at least one from every generation, like every toy line, to make sure that I had at least one. And some of the artwork on these boxes was just so nice, but I don't think I can break this down because it's glued on this side. The idea was you punched out right here and opened it. So I don't think I can do that, actually. I don't know if all of them are like that. This was, the heck was this guy's name? Maxilos and Spinax from the 2007 line, the Maori Nui line. Yep, same thing. I can't Can't break that down. So I guess these are going, I'm going to try to return them exactly the same way they were. Glad I saved those. So we are running a little bit low on boxes that we can break down, which is unfortunate. I thought I was going to be able to break down the Bionicle ones, but I guess I was wrong. However, we did just free up an absolute crap ton of space. So I may be able to put these boxes back in, and we might be good to go here. Let's give it a try. I'm going to try to keep some of them organized by type. So let's keep all these Muller Spirit Series boxes together, and Zoids Wild boxes together maybe. And I'll stack those on top of this and try to get that to flatten out. I've also got some of the Bandai Star Wars model kit boxes saved. And those are kind of the same story as model kit boxes that are a clamshell thing where you can't really break it down unless you get rid of half of it. That's like these right here. We've got a few of those, not all of them. There's only a couple that I really wanted, and it seems like they're not going back and making another line of those. They're not making any Clone Wars era ships or anything like that. These Japanese Zoids Wild boxes, the small ones, I can break these down, but I can't break down the Hasbro ones because they have a plastic bubble on the inside. Some of kids and inheriting your collection down to your kids and everything, there's no guarantee that your kids are going to like the stuff that you like. And it's funny, I'm talking about Zoids Wild because I said in a lot of the Zoids Wild videos that I made that I think part of the failure of Zoids Wild was that kids are just not interested in toys like they used to be, and several brands recognize this. I think that, frankly, a lot of kids are spoiled on gadgets way too early. You put an iPad in the hands of a toddler, and their expectations are already sky high from moment zero, where they already know what an iPad is and what an iPad is like to own. So they want their video games and their Fortnite. And I'm not saying that we didn't like video games as a kid as well. We did, but I don't know. It hits different when when we were kids. Our parents demanded that we go outside, and I remember going outside with my brother and with Legos and Bionicles and stuff like that, and playing outside with the toys, and that was part of the fun of it. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to have a lot more room now. I'm trying to get back down to the bottom of this stack where I can break down some of these other boxes. Some of the new ones. I showed this at the beginning, Legacy Galvatron. Hasbro has made a very conscious effort to reduce the amount of plastic waste they have in their products nowadays, and so they basically cut back on cost and on the amount of plastic that's in the boxes of Transformers. And this is really evident if I compare. Let's get out this Movie Line Deluxe box right here. Oh, this is Bumblebee. So this is a box of a deluxe from the movie line, the 2007 movie line. This is from Deluxe Bumblebee. The artwork on the back there, funny enough, has clear missiles, which I guess were from a prototype. And the Takara version actually does have translucent missiles, but I think they're blue and not purple. They're just solid yellow on the Hasbro one. They look pretty ugly. So you can see plastic. It's got a card back. It's got plastic little clamps that hold the card to the bubble, and it's got that massive bubble, and it's got plastic twist ties in the center, and then you compare that to this latest line, the Legacy Galvatron here, and there is zero plastic waste in this at all. You open it up and it's just a cardboard insert. The figure sat literally right here, so you just pull that out and there's the figure, no plastic, and it's paper twist ties. The question is, however, what is this going to look like if I try to break it down? I don't really care about the warranty information. I might actually have to take out this insert to throw that away in order to keep this box. But like I said, I want to keep at least one box from every Transformers line, just for the sake of nostalgia, so I remember what they look like. All right, that's going overboard. All right. Unfortunately, with the way these boxes are designed, they're like these weird angles. I don't know if there's a way I can do this without irrevocably damaging it. Yeah, the corners don't line up evenly, so you can't truly flatten these, which is a huge shame. But it still lets us make that more compact and still keep it. Maybe I'll just shove it on the top of all these other Transformers boxes up here. But yeah, there's no guarantee your kids are gonna like the same things that you like, and I just know that with me and my wife's financial situation, if we were to have kids, we would basically have to give up everything that we enjoy doing as hobbies. And quite a few of my adult friends who have had kids have had to do that. Some of them have basically dropped off the face of the earth to have kids. But famously, you know, when it was 4 years ago when I guess I was like 25 when I proposed to Michelle. And so I had some friends who were in their early 30s, and they said, "Oh, dude, just wait. Like, being in your 30s with no kids is literally just like being in your 20s but with money." And I'm like, "That's awesome." I literally can't wait for that. As shallow and pretentious as that sounds, I say that to a lot of my friends who don't want to have kids. I'm like, if you don't have kids, your 30s are going to be awesome, as long as, you know, from a personal standpoint of morals and values, that's what you derive enjoyment out of. Some people get a lot of fulfillment out of having kids. It's like their one sole purpose in life, where they feel like they must have kids. And when you say you don't want to have kids, especially if you're a woman, you will be beaten over the head by people who insist that you must have them, or that you will simply learn to love them, or like, well, once you have that kid, let me tell you, it's going to be like a light switch that just flicks, and you're going to be completely different, and you're just going to be completely changed, and you're going to wonder how you ever thought that way, and you're going to fall in love as soon as you have that kid. And I'm like, that's all well and good and all that, but those conversations are so reductive and toxic because they just completely disregard women's personal choices and their own bodily autonomy. And you know, this decision not to have kids is as much Michelle's decision as it is mine. She has a say in it, and it's her body, it's her rights, and she does have some medical issues that would make having children suboptimal. And I'm really glad we're on the same page about this, because couples that are not on the same page about this, it can be really damaging to their relationship. I actually know some people, some friends of mine that were married for years, and they just recently got divorced because the wife wanted kids, and it was finally like, you know, it was finally time to be like, all right, it's the crossroads. We got to decide, are we going to have them or not? And he was like, no, I just don't want them. And she was like, all right, well, that's it. And just, you know, kind of walked away from it. So not to sound preachy and not to try to sound like I'm giving relationship advice or anything. Oh, that is a bug in this box. It's like a little mite or an earwig or something. A little dude. Yeah, that's wonderful. Go deal with him later downstairs. I think I got him out. Yeah, I did. I see him on the ground down there. I'll go deal with him later. Nothing could be as bad as, this closet is, dry, and it's in a very much an interior wall, so I'm not worried about moisture or bugs or anything getting into these boxes from the outside world. That would be very unlikely. But some of you guys know the story I told about the Psychogenosaur and that nightmare horror show. When I opened that box for the first time, I couldn't believe it. Never underestimate insects and their tenacity, their ability to survive in ridiculous conditions, ridiculous climates, inside of a box for conceivably months. That's pretty packed in there, if I do say so. All right, well, I guess we will return these other boxes to the other side here. Put Tetsu back in there. Let's go with Cybertron Prime. This one, the Doom Eternal. This is McFarlane Toys, the Doom Eternal Doom guy. I recently got another version of him. That's the it's classic Doom guy, but it's the classic Doom guy skin in Doom Eternal. That box is sitting here waiting to be stored away. Very cool figure, but not particularly posable or anything like that. Decent enough for what it is. I'm very much looking forward to the Doom Eternal Figma. If you guys followed the Market Watch series that I did, which I kind of stopped doing because I didn't have time, and there was a lot of other, there wasn't that much in the way of Zoids news for a while, so there wasn't really much to say. And I admittedly wasn't keeping up with the market enough to be able to speak on it intelligently. All right, Coronation Starscream Studio Series, one of my favorite recent additions to the Transformers collection. He has that backdrop in here, which may mean that I can't break this down. I don't think I'll bother to break it down yet. We'll leave it as is. He sits right next to my desk when I edit. I like him that much. I just saw down here in the corner the Gojil's Giga box, which probably should get that out and break that down, because that box I already know is open on both sides. Was that Siege Blue Streak? Is that like the Netflix version? You guys probably know better than I do. And then Impactor. I actually got these two, the Cybertron Prime, ordered them right before I moved into the house, so they actually were the first thing to ship to the house. Very cool. The only Kingdom figures I really got, Kingdom, Warpath, and Cyclonus. Cyclonus is one of the coolest Transformers I've gotten in a long time. Kingdom Cyclonus is amazing. So cool. Hopefully we'll get around to doing some videos on these guys before too long. These weird asymmetrical trapezoid Transformers boxes are not the worst thing in the world either, because they do kind of fit nicely into each other pretty well. This is just the Gatling gun for the burning Liger. We can break that down. Instructions. I don't know what that is. Probably important. I think that's like a reset tool for the Gatling gun for the burning Liger. Another cardboard insert. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about a lot of these issues I've talked about today. And I know that everybody has their own opinion, and no matter how objectively true you think your opinion is, there's always going to be somebody that disagrees, or somebody that takes offense to it. And just because people have opinions doesn't mean you're obligated to listen to them. Especially if you're a content creator on the internet, whether or not you do videos or you make art or whatever it is you do, the worst thing you can do is read comments. Like, just don't do it. I mean, I know that also must piss off some people that are like, well, hang on, I want my comment to get read. There's the classic. Doesn't actually show a picture of him, but that's the classic Doomslayer box. I don't know where I just had the other box a second ago. I don't know where I put it. But yeah, listening to comments online is probably something that's going to wreak havoc on your mental health. Don't let people have that level of access to you. Don't let people get under your skin like that. Oh, we have found another Zoids Wild Zero box. I should break down the Bazoo tile. Love this guy. I've made a ton of room, by the way. Like, just even though I haven't thrown away a lot of boxes, breaking down all those Zoids boxes that I broke down has freed up a ton of room. And I think doing this has also just allowed me to collect all these instruction booklets, which are pretty important that I don't lose these. Pretty sure I've never thrown away an instruction booklet for a transformer either. Early on with collecting transformers, you know, I was watching. I talked about this on the other channel and on the main channel with the Transformers video game retrospective that I'm doing, which you guys should definitely watch if you haven't already. I talked about how back in the early days, I was watching videos from basically the very first Transformers content creators on YouTube, because this was back in the early days of YouTube as a platform. And some of them had, you know, what would be considered by today's standards to be the most awful production quality you could possibly imagine. But back then, it was all you could do, really. And they really kind of informed a lot of my buying decisions as far as which figures I wanted to get, because some of the problems with figures I would be privy to prior to buying them by watching a content creator struggle with some construction issues or engineering issues and stuff like that. I would kind of know about those things ahead of time. I wonder if I can break these down. This is a Dark Horse Comics product. It's a replica of some of the Halo ships. This one's the Infinity. There's a Pelican down there too. I think I can break these down. But yeah, I watched. It's got a styrofoam insert. It's probably meant to keep the ship safe. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I do see a couple of other Lego Star Wars kits. This has got some loose pieces in it, so I definitely need to recover that. Instruction booklet, some loose pieces. This kit had stickers as well. Big fan of the Star Wars Battlefront video games, the classic ones, not the EA DICE ones. And the 2002 Clone Wars game in this vehicle is seen prominently in all those properties. So definitely picked this up when this came out. Yeah, I remember. So in that retrospective, I mentioned Diansis or Silverbolt, who was a UK based Transformers content creator who would do he basically had like a crappy webcam setup, but he would do an in-depth character bio on the characters before talking about the toy. And his personality was very addictive, very fun to watch. And he was just a really quirky guy. And he would usually give the character bio in his own words. He wouldn't, like read off of Wikipedia or anything like that. He would definitely be very sincere with his. I'm going to duck down out of the view of the camera and look at this bottom shelf really quick here. He would definitely give it his own twist. And some of the things he talked about and complained about, I still kind of remember to this day. And I remember the video I used in that video to reference was a guy who went by Biker Trash Wolf, and he was talking about Cybertron Prime. That was a really good video for its time. Well, I guess we are probably at the end here, I think. Not because I can't create any more room, but I really don't need to. Let me get all these back in here. I'll kind of show you what I mean. These are interesting. These are little Fate Palm characters, little tiny mini characters. Allegedly, this is official Type Moon merchandise, but I don't know if I believe that because the person that gifted these to me and Michelle was a super toxic friend that we kind of cut out of our lives. So I'm curious if these are real merchandise or for bootlegs. But I don't know if I like the look of them either. They're super cheap looking. I may give these to a friend of mine's booth for the Super Happy Fun sale this year at Anime Weekend Atlanta, which is literally next week. Or give them away at our panel that we're hosting about Type Moon. We'll see. But yeah, I will set them aside and make a decision there. So compared to before, these top two shelves really haven't changed a whole lot. But yeah, I managed to get all those collapsed boxes in there. And just generally all the shelves don't have stuff busting out of the front like they did. Cleared up a huge amount of room down here where we're going to be able to fit a lot more boxes in here. And down here as well, they're not spilling out into the floor anymore. So I'd say it's a job well done. We got all the boxes off the floor from this corner and found a bunch of instruction booklets I'm going to go put away in a nice little compact box and create a lot of cardboard waste I'm going to have to go send off to the recycling center. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.